Welcome back to the Sticks Twine podcast. My name is Eric. I am coming to you from my home here in Toronto, Canada, where we talk about knitting and patterns and yarn and all that fun stuff. I just want to start this episode out by saying that there will not be any commentary on the recent US election. There's a lot more eloquent and articulate people who have already done a tremendous amount of analysis. And no matter what side you fall on, I don't know that we'll necessarily agree here, but let's focus on the one thing that we can all agree, and that is that knitting rocks. Let's get started. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me once again. If you are a new viewer, I can be found on Ravelry as EPLUTZ or Z, depending on where you're from. I can also be found on Instagram as e.p.lutz or Z. Again, same rules apply. I wanted to say thank you again to anybody who is joining for the very first time. Thank you for taking some time out to check out something new. Okay, so what are we going to cover in today's episode? We are going to cover a little bit about the Everybody Loves Pie Cal. We're going to go through status report. We'll talk about Knitter's World because I did a little bit of traveling in the past 2 weeks since I saw you last, or since you saw me last, I guess technically. We're going to talk about the haul, of course. What would an episode be, it seems like, without the haul? So everybody really does love pie, right? It's not just a euphemism, but it's also the hashtag and name of the current knit-along that I am hosting. And this knit-along is for pie shawls. So if you're new, that's something that you are interested in, please feel free to join in. We started on November 1st and we'll be going through to the end of January. But I'm going to be honest, guys, I've totally realized that December is right around the corner and there's a lot of holiday knitting going on. So I'm kind of wondering how you'd feel about extending it to the end of February. I'm okay with it. I could use the time probably to get some Christmas knitting done as well and not have to stress and worry about it. Although, an extra month really could make the difference between finishing and not finishing. So anyway, let me know if you haven't been participating yet. There is plenty of time. We only cast on today, I should say. Today is November the 13th, I believe. So we cast on the 1st, so we're only about 2 weeks in. You've got plenty of time if you want to join in still. Couple of notes. People have asked about different kinds of parameters about the knit-along. So let me say this. Now that we're into it, works in progress obviously are part of the gig. If you had started and put down a pie shawl for whatever reason and were only just barely into it, sure, totally have at it. Join in. Maybe it'll be good influence on you to finish. If you were just about finished or just sort of halfway through, you know what? Start something new if you can. I wouldn't necessarily disqualify you for that. But out of fairness to everybody else who started out with a fresh new cast on, I'd like to try and keep it within that parameter. Other questions came around types of shawls. If it is a round shawl or a round-ish shawl that starts out with a center circular or disappearing cast on, I'm sorry if you can hear sirens in the background. They're the joys of living in a big city, right? Maybe we'll just wait. Do 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 do. Okay, they seem to be gone. Wasn't for me apparently. They weren't coming for me. So anyway, if it starts out with a central cast on, and it goes and grows out into a circle, then it is a pie shawl and it qualifies. I've had a few people ask about different kinds or like half pie, stuff like that. Not quite what I was going for, so I'd like to try and keep it to a little stricter on the parameters for entry, if you don't mind. If you want to keep going on and doing a different pie shawl, sure, go for it. I'm not going to stop you from knitting anything. Who am I to tell you not to knit? But for the purposes of prizes, I'd like to sort of keep it to a relatively standard definition of what a pie shawl is. So, prizes. If you're new and you haven't watched the last couple of episodes, there's 2 prizes. One will be a $50 gift card, one will be a $25 gift card. And there go the sirens again. I don't know what's up, guys. It's Sunday. It's supposed to be quiet, right? The gift cards will be to whatever outlet I am able to provide you with a $25 and $50 gift card in Canadian dollars, because typically most of these places won't let me actually use any other currencies. So that's the prizes. And of course you have to finish. That's the key. So there you go. There in a nutshell. How am I doing? Well, that's actually a really interesting segue, because we can jump right into status report. Guys, I can't lie. This has been a tricky cast on. I have cast on no less than 15 times. No word of a lie. For a number of reasons, but I have learned a number of things along the way that I think have got me on the right track. So, if you are new or haven't been watching or weren't interested and now are, or whatever, I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm working on the Leaves of Grass shawl designed by Jared Flood for Brooklyn Tweed. And I will have put a picture here by now. And I am knitting it out of, and I will show you, this is the little donut guy I have left of the first skein of, this is Finch by Quince & Company in the honey colorway. And it's one of my favorite colors, and actually it looks like it's showing up on screen pretty good actually. It's one of these harder colors to photograph. This sort of deeper olivey chartreuse colors don't ever come out so clean, and I really kind of like the way that looks. That's kind of neat. Anyway, I was going to use this yarn for a sweater that I then frogged, and have now decided to turn it into the shawl. And there's sirens again. Guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on today. Just pause for a moment. Sirens, what are you gonna do? Anyway, so where was I? Right, so pie shawl. This is all I have left. I have the next cake already done and made up. I think I'm gonna try and do a spit splice for this, because I feel like that would be easier for a pie shawl, where yeah, I could weave in the ends in the end, but being lace, I can imagine it's going to be a lot harder to sort of make that work well. Anyway, where am I? Well, this is the thing at the moment. It looks like a weird kind of stretched out demented hat at the moment. Currently I'm using my Addy Click interchangeable needles. And I'm using the recommended needle gauge, which is a US 6 or 4 millimeter. You start out with a different one, and then you sort of upsize by the time you finish the first chart. So it's hard to kind of show what it's looking like at the moment, but you can start to get a bit of the idea of all of the leaves that are coming out. So there we go. That's maybe a little bit better. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. It's not an intuitive knit. It's kind of hard, but I've learned a few things along the way out of my 15 times casting this on. Number one, magic loop is greater than DPNs. DPNs, when you're starting it with 8 stitches and trying to make that work, I got it to work once or twice, and then I realized, hey, I could probably magic loop this, and it's way easier. For me anyway, it was way easier. So that's what I did up until the point when I finished chart A. Chart A finishes right around this point here. Chart B are these sort of more scaly looking leaves, which you do twice the chart. And now I am on to chart C. So this is the furthest I've gotten so far, and I'm really happy about that. I did use a 16-inch circ for the second chart because that seemed to work out best. Now I've gone into the interchangeables, like I said, and I have finished the first repeat of chart C, which, guys, I'm really happy. It's turning out well. But you will also notice tip number 2. See all of these stitch markers? Yeah. Lifesaver, because I know when I have messed something up. I'm not a good lace knitter. I have come to realize I'm not good with lace. I'm much better with just like zooming along without paying attention to a pattern. So this has been a good lesson for me. Putting on all of these stitch markers makes a big difference. You need a lot of them, obviously, because there's, at this point, there's 32 repeats of 9 stitches. And but it's great because I know if I mess up on 9 stitches or I don't have 9, I'm not having to go back and figure out and recalculate. It's a pretty quick fix. So that was tip number 2. Tip number 3, and this one, this was such a newbie mistake. See this stuff? That's crochet cotton. Crochet cotton is a really good lifeline material because it's super thin, it's cotton, and it slides through the yarn really easily when I go to pull it out. So what I do is, are the sirens going away? Yep, they're going away. There must be a fire or something nearby. Anyway, what I do is when I finished the first repeat, which would be chart A, I put in a lifeline before starting chart B. When I finished the first repeat of chart B, I put another lifeline in. I just basically moved it up incrementally. Before I started C, I moved it up again, finished the first chart repeat of chart C, and I have just put in the last, this most latest iteration, literally, before I started recording. Big difference of doing that. Funnily enough, I haven't had to rip back a thing. So you'll notice by the episode title by Ribbit that I have frogged a bunch of things this week. I have frogged this thing 14 times. And sometimes I've made it to the end of chart A. I did make it halfway through chart B when I foolishly made the mistake of trying to knit lace in a bar and drinking with my amazing knitter friends. We'll talk about that a little more in Knitter's World, but silly me. Anyway, I am now, like I said, in chart C. I have to do chart C 4 more times, 4 or 5 more times. I think you do it 6 times. So I got 5 more times to do that. Then it's on to chart D, which is a big one, but you only do that, I think, that one once. And then I believe after that, it's on to the knitted on border. So I'd say up to this point, it's zoomed along pretty good. And I started this again on Friday. Today's Sunday. So it's moving pretty well, but we shall see, because I know it's about to get real big. It literally goes from 8 stitches to, by the end of this one, this is now at 288 stitches. So, and it doubles every time, of course, as a pie shawl does. So, going well, loving the color, love the color. It was the right choice for sure. I know there's been a lot of discussion in the chatter thread about how people are doing with their works in progress. Do not despair. Again, we have plenty of time to work on these things, but do let me know if you're interested, or if you feel like you would join in more likely to join in if it was extended a little bit beyond the Christmas holiday season, or just the holiday season in general, which I'm kind of feeling I might do. So that's that one. Let's move on to, well, while we're talking about frogging things, so I had cast on for the Kusama sweater, and I'll put a picture here, for my mother-in-law, and guys, I love, the yarn is fine. It's a acrylic yarn. We talked about that in a previous episode. Needles were great. Patterns, okay. It's well written. Here's the thing. I hate the stitch pattern. I hate it. I just could not see myself working an entire sweater out of this. And it's a long, big, oversized sweater. It's beautiful. But there's no way I'm going to make it. Ribbit! Out it came. So, yeah, that's happened. So there's another frog moment. But that's okay. I have other things that I have not frogged. So let's talk about those. My Rhinebeck socks that I told you that was in Rhinebeck Sweater Weather by Nomadic Yarns still have no heels, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I will get heels in it. I am on the toe of my second of the these are the droids you're looking for yarn. You've seen this before. I have one that's already finished. They're not exactly the same, but they're close, and that's okay. But they will eventually have heels in them as well. I figure when I finish this, I can sit down in one night. I can get all 4 heels done in one go. It is living in my, of course, field bag by Fringe Supply Co. And this is in the yellow colorway that's exclusive to, oh heck, what's the name of the store? I don't know, it's one in France that I ordered. one night when I'd probably had too much champagne and was celebrating something. Anyway, I just wanted to show you too, I've started adding these little pins. These pins are so cute. Will it focus? Maybe if I put it over my face. So the little geisha cat one I got at Kinokuniya in New York. And of course, my wonderful friends Sue and Chelsea gave me one of their buttons for Legacy Fiber Arts, which is their yarn dyeing business that now lives on my bag. So that's where that one's living. What else? I think that's kind of it for anything that I'm actively working on. The Berenice sweater, it's kind of in a timeout at the moment because I wanted to get some decent progress on my Leaves of Grass shawl, but it will come out of a timeout. All of my project bags live up here, and maybe one day I'll be brave enough to show you what that looks like. But it, okay, you asked. Okay, so let me just see if I can do this without messing everything up. So up there are all my project bags, and well, yeah, all of them. They're not all active. They don't all have active projects in them, but most of them do. I'm not gonna lie, I am not good at cleaning things off the needles, but I'm gonna have to be because I want to cast on some new stuff soon. So I think that's it for status report, guys. Why don't we take a quick break, get a beverage, because I forgot to get a beverage. Who does that, right? Forgot to get a beverage. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Knitter's World, and then we're going to talk about the haul. Okay, so one thing that I just wanted to add into status report, I had asked for recommendations on shawls or scarves or patterns that were suitable for gradient sets, because I have the Miss Babs Yummy 2-ply sock gradient set. And I have decided on the pattern, and I'll put a picture right here, and it is the Asanagi wrap by Olga Baraya-Kefalian, and it's awesome. It's a modular construction. You do all these little shells, kind of like a Cozy Memories blanket, but in a different shape. And you do sort of row on row on row, and you sort of go back and forth, so I can use all of the yarn that I have. It looks like the actual pattern, which I already have, requires a lot more yarn than, well, I wouldn't say a lot more, maybe 25-30% more yarn than what comes in the gradient set. But I'm okay with that, to be honest, because I don't need some huge mega wrap. I just need something that'll be a really nice scarf. So that's the one I've decided to do, and I couldn't be happier. I think it's going to be an awesome pattern. Yet another one to start casting on eventually. All right, so I hope you got a beverage. I did, in my David's tea mug. This is the English Tea Shop organic white tea with blueberry and elderflower. I forgot that right. Which a wonderful viewer of the podcast sent me as part of a donation to the podcast, which I will show you in the haul. And it's actually really good. I can taste the blueberry for sure. And it's white tea, so it's not too grassy, which I do like. I really like a good grassy green, but in a white tea, it's kind of nice to have something a little milder. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Knitter's World. So the past 2 weeks, I've been in New York and I've been in Dallas. I was in New York for a week for the Fast Company Innovation Festival, which was amazing. It was so much fun. It was really inspiring. And of course, it gives me all kinds of ideas. My business partner and I went. We have a ton of ideas as to what to do with our business now, which I really enjoyed. It was what I was hoping to get out of it. But of course, while you're in New York, you have to go and see your new friends in New York. So I managed to have dinner on Halloween night, no less, with Jacqueline of the Brooklyn Knit Folk podcast, Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast and Vool and Vine Yarns, and also Allison, who you might know from Michelle Wong's podcast. She's been a guest a couple of times on there as well, and Allison's just like an absolute adorable sweetheart. So we got together for dinner on Halloween night. We had such a good time that we went and we knit, and we gosh, I don't think any of us really wanted to go home because it was quite late out by the time we actually got back, or I had to get back to Manhattan. That we decided to do it again. So we got together again another night and kind of repeated it all over again. It was awesome. If you watched Jacqueline's latest, you'll see a few clips of us with our little funny shenanigans, which was awesome. It was so much fun. I miss you guys so much. but we had a blast. We had so much fun. So there was that. I did get a chance also to have lunch with Michelle Wong, who, if you've never been on the podcast before, if you've never watched before, you'll know she's one of my favorite designers. So it was a real treat to get to spend some time with her. Hey, Michelle. Yeah, so glad. I was really happy we got to spend some time. And then what else did I do? So after I left New York, flew to Dallas to visit some friends there, and my partner Sebastian and another friend of ours, Sarah, had already flown there, so I met and hung out with them and our friends, Gary and Ernesto, who are like the most amazing people. And there's always like sort of a few things to do in Dallas. There's like eating, shopping, and going to movies, and we did all three, which was awesome. We went to the Alamo Drafthouse, which is one of the most, I think, interesting movie theaters in North America. We went to see Doctor Strange, which was awesome. Really loved it. It was such a good time. Did some shopping, and then one day the weather wasn't so great, so we decided to take a quick drive out to Fort Worth, where we stopped in at West 7th Wool, where we, or at least I got to meet Amy, who owns the shop, and did a little bit of shopping. Not a huge amount, but I did a little bit of shopping, which I'm thrilled about. I'll show you that in the haul. But we had a great time. Her shop is absolutely lovely. If you haven't been and you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, do make sure that you go. I know that she would love to see you. The ladies that came in, who are sort of regular knitters to hang out there, were super sweet and nice. So it was great. And of course I picked up some stuff.
I'm not a pattern writer, so I don't know.
I didn't have any pattern to make that.
Okay.
Just knit and purl and knit and purl.
So, so it was a great trip to both New York and Dallas. And I want to say thank you to everyone who made my trip so special and took their time out of their schedules to just spend time and knit and have fun. Thank you. So why don't we let me clear the decks a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the haul. Okay, so now comes time for the haul, where we talk about all the stuff that I have bought, which is probably more than I should have, but oh well. So first I wanted to talk about the release of the BT Arbor, and I had sort of teased out a little bit about the colors from the last episode. What did I order? So I thought, well, you deserve to be shown what I ordered. And what I ordered were these two great skeins. So this one is called Tincture, and this one is called Humpback. These, of course, are amazing. This one the Tincture reminds me a lot of Honey, but it's actually really different. When you see the two side by side, it maybe doesn't come across on camera as much, but they're distinctly different. This one is more green, this one's more yellow, but they're lovely colors. And I have been working on a swatch for a potential design project out of Arbor, out of this color, and I will say that I love this base. It still has a little bit of the rustic hand that Brooklyn Tweed's yarns are known for before blocking. I haven't blocked this yet, so I don't know what it feels like blocked, but it's lovely to work with. It has none of the structural challenges that one might experience with the rest of their yarns, sort of the loft and shelter and quarry, where you have to be a little more delicate with it. This actually has some really good stretch and spring to it, which makes it feel like it's able to be worked faster. But I picked up those. I ordered those right when they were released. Sorry, with that, I'm just going to take a little sip of my drink because I'm feeling a little hoarse. There we go. I also ordered the Arbor Shade Card, which, if you have not yet seen one, here's what that looks like. So it's got all of these great, amazing colors for Arbor. I'm just peeking around the side so I can see what I'm showing you. I really like it. I kind of wish, in a way, they made this in a worsted weight as well, because the colors are so awesome. I love the DK weight, and sorry if anybody who hasn't seen Arbor yet, it is a DK weight, but the colors are so great. Like I could see myself making a lot of stuff out of this. Anyway, so that's that one. Great. So I know what to order when I like it, but I've also picked up 2 skeins, which already came wound up because I thought I was going to need them straight away. Turned out I didn't, which is fine. So I had this shop. I bought these at Pearl Soho, actually. This is in the hammock colorway, also of Arbor. And I'm going to be making these into a hat because we have a pattern in the first issue of Rib magazine that needs a DK weight yarn, and I think this will make a really, really interesting version of that pattern. So that's where I picked those up. And so what next? Oh, I was talking about crochet cotton and sort of tools that I really enjoyed working with for making the pie shawl a little easier. I gotta stop that. One of the things that I wanted to talk about were some of the tools that I picked up that I thought made working on the pie shawl a lot easier. And one of those was crochet cotton. It comes in a pretty big sort of, I guess, I don't know what this is. It's a skein, I guess. And it's relatively fine. There's a ton of it here, ton. This will last me forever. But it was like, I got it at Michael's. It was $5, I think, and I had a coupon, so it's totally worth it. I will never be doing things with like a shawl without a lifeline again. Not going to happen. Also, I have talked previously about stitch markers and things like that, and we all really love great little stitch markers, of course. But sometimes you need a lot of them, and they're not exactly economical if you're using really fancy ones. So if you need a lot. So I picked up some of the Cocoa Knits colored bulb stitch markers, which are the ones that you will have seen. Sorry, I'm just reaching. On here. So they come in all these little great colors, and there's more actually. There's more colors than these that come with it. So I like these. They're not the greatest thing when they're close because they sometimes can get stuck on each other. But they're super lightweight. They don't get in the way when you're knitting. They just move out of the way when you need to. But Cocoa Knits also has this amazing set of, and I picked these up at West 7th Wool, these little foam stoppers that come in different sizes. There's the next size up, and then there's the next size up from that. And these little stoppers, which you're not going to be able to see. Maybe it'll focus, maybe it won't. Focus. No. Anyway, you can see what they do is they fit on the ends of your needles, so your stitches don't pop off. And they're pretty grabby, right? They're not the hardest things to sort of slide on and off, but they're good that they grab. So, and they're super light. They're foam. So I'm a huge advocate for those. I also bought a small little box at Muji to put them all in. So they live in, I sort of have a larger Notions bag, and then I have one that's more portable, and some of my project bags all have pockets inside, so I've got a bunch of these in there too. So I thought that'd be kind of helpful to share. Okay, so back to yarny goodness. Since we're speaking of West 7th Wools, why not talk about what else I picked up there? Amy's got a really, really good selection there of yarns, and that includes Hedgehog. So I have used Hedgehog sock yarn before and really enjoyed it. And I saw this color, and this is the egg yolk color, and this is in the sock yarn base. Sock yarn, not focusing, but whatevs. And it really does look like great big bright yellow egg yolk. I think it's awesome. I have no idea what I'm going to use this for. Sometimes you just got to buy something because you like the color, right? It will be used in something. I think I know what I'm going to use it for. I have a sneaky suspicion I know what I'm going to use it for, but I'm not 100%. So I'll tell you when I do, for sure. But I love that, and it's good yarn. If you've never worked with Hedgehog, it tends to be on the lighter weight, I think, of fingering weights. It can be splitty for some people depending on on your knitting style. I found I could not use Haya sharp sock needles with these. I had to use Addy sock rockets instead. Hayas were just splitting it too crazy. So your results may vary. All good. So I picked up that one, and then I picked up what will be my Christmas socks for this year. And if you are new, you will not necessarily have seen them, but I am a huge fan of Regia sock yarn. I really, really like it. I actually like how sort of durable it feels. I like knitting with it. I just really like everything about it. So I picked up some sock yarn, also at West 7th Wool. I don't think this is meant to be an actual Christmas yarn. This is color 03760. But I just love the colors. I thought it's got some good gray in it. It's got some reds, got some greens, got some whites. What's not to like? It's Christmas to me. So that's going to be my Christmas cast on. I will probably cast these on December 1st and have them ready for Christmas Day. Where I will be Christmas Day, I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll find out in probably about 2 weeks where we're going to be for Christmas. So so that's my Christmas cast on. And then the last couple of things that I picked up, I got 3 things at Pearl Soho when I was there. I did pick up some more Brooklyn Tweed Loft. This is in the Faded Quilt, which is this one, and the Fossil colorway, which I also really like. And this yarn is going to be used for the Norland hat that I talked about in Wishlist last week, which I think this will make a really, really nice antique-y feel to that pattern, rather than sort of being a more modern, fresher, super washy kind of thing. I think this is going to look really, really cool and slightly rustic, which will go, I think, with the pattern really well. So that's what that's for. So if you haven't noticed, I have a bit of a trend that I'm trying to stick to when it comes to my purchasing, which is all project-specific purchasing. I know exactly what I'm going to make with it. There are exceptions. Sometimes it's a test, like the Arbor stuff. When I first ordered it, was just going to be for a test. But I do have a pattern that I'm going to use for that, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, further when I talk about sort of things that people have sent my way. This one, I have no idea really. It might be used for a particular pattern, but I didn't buy it with that that as the purpose for it. I just bought it because I really like the color. So I did also pick up one other thing at Pearl Soho, which is the orange Fringe Supply field bag that is an exclusive colorway to Pearl Soho. And I had bought another couple of buttons to go on it, illustrated man in a sailboat, because that's kind of says me, I guess. And I've started working it in. I bought it the night that, I think it was Halloween actually, so it was very appropriate, orange bag of Halloween. But I've been working it in because they do need a little bit of management when you first get them. But they're awesome. So I now have 3 of these. I could pick up easily almost, I think, every other color. The only one that I wouldn't get for me is the Plucky Knitter has a specific color, which is sort of a really bright pink, which is beautiful, but it's not really for me. So, so that's my swatch. Almost popped out. Anyway, love that. I think it's great. So, the other things I want to talk about. The haul is a good combo, I think, this week. It's not all yarn. There's a lot of other stuff. I also got an early Christmas present, which is, ta-da! This actually gets spun out this way. There we go. This is not the Nancy's Knit Knacks wooden heavy-duty ball winder, which I really wanted. But then I had a couple of people actually suggest that I might like this one better. It's a little, it's heavy duty. This is all steel base. It's all steel construction, these nylon gears. So it's still heavy duty, but it's a little easier to use and put away more frequently than the great big Nancy's Knit Knacks. So I have used this a couple of times, and basically what you do is you feed in your yarn through here, you feed it then through here, you attach the end to the top like you do, and then you just wind. And it moves quick. I'm not gonna lie, guys, it goes fast. I did a skein of fingering in about a minute. And I really like it. I think it's really cool. Like I could just see that little arm whisking around like an egg beater, which is kind of neat. Anyway, I got that. The reason I got this early is because they were having a sale. So this is on Stanwood's website. I don't know if you can see. Ta-da. It's focusing on an iPhone. Who knows, right? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It was on half price. It took about a week to arrive, and I believe even with shipping, and there was a COD charge on it for customs when it arrived, even with all of that said and done, it was about half the price of the Nancy's Knit Knacks. So I can't speak to the difference between the two, but I'm really, really happy with this one. So thank you so much to Sebastian for early Christmas present. The last thing that I want to talk about in the haul is a few different things. These are more books and such like. So I was sent a couple of things. I was sent from Lily from Norway, who is Nordic Stitches. She's a designer. Sent me a copy of her, I want to make sure I get this right, Crossroads collection, which is a scarf and a beanie that includes both texture work and some Farrell color work. And they're really, really cool. She wrote me a note and said that she was challenged as a designer by my call to say there's not as many patterns for men out there, and so she took it upon herself to design something, and it's really cool. She sent me a copy of the pattern, so I shall put a picture of it over here. So do check her out if you happen to like it. She's also got a YouTube channel that I'm still catching up on so much from being away all of last week. I'm still catching up on a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm definitely going to check her out. I also want to say a big thank you to Lars Rains, who I had the pleasure of meeting at Rhinebeck. Lars is he is a knitwear designer, but he is also the author of Modern Lopi and his newest book, Presto, and he sent me a copy of each of those. So thank you so much, Lars. Lars is a great big teddy bear, sweet guy. And I've been kind of looking at his Modern Lopi book for quite a while. I think the color choices that he's showing in the very cover are really, really interesting. And I think modern is the right way to look at it, which I liked. And then lastly, I wanted to say thank you to Elaine. Elaine is Handwork Lady on Ravelry. She sent me a note, I guess about a month ago, saying that she had something for me if I was interested. And when she told me what it was, I said, yes, I'm absolutely interested. If you can bear to part with it, I would love it. And she sent it my way, and it's sitting here in front of me. And I can only imagine how hard this is to try and find. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I know that I really value it. So thank you so much, Elaine. And it is the 2002 special edition of Men's Special Collector's Edition of Vogue Knitting International. It's really fascinating to see how things have changed, how things have stayed the same, sort of where were we 14 years ago, and I'm sure this was planned, let's call it 15 years ago. There's some really, really cool stuff in here, stuff that honestly I would still make today. I'm trying to find one that I really liked. This pattern, for instance, that one there, that's really cool. Like that I would actually make. It looks like something that could have come out of Brooklyn Tweed, this fall collection. There was another one. I loved this one. This one's all very tweedy, of course. We like the tweed. And then there's some stuff that's just seems so dated now, which is interesting. Like adverts like the back cover. Like that, you wouldn't see that anymore. Not to say that the patterns aren't great, but the way that they style and composite that sort of thing together just looks a bit like, oh, really? Okay. Look at all these great scarves in here. This is a gold mine of reference material. So Elaine, I can't thank you enough. Really, really super appreciate it. It was awesome and sweet of you to send. She sent a beautiful card and a bunch of tea, of which this one is one of yours. So thank you, Elaine. Here's to you. So that's it for this time, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Sebastian is home today. I have kicked him out of the house temporarily so I can record this podcast. So he's waiting downstairs, I think, doing some work. We are going out to the movies tonight. We're going to go see The Arrival, which I've been really looking forward to since it premiered here in Toronto at the film festival. So that'll be sort of our Sunday night out things to do. He will be traveling most of this week. But it's going to be fun. It'll be a nice way to sort of cap off a good weekend. So hope you're doing well, and make sure you tell somebody you love them. We don't say it enough these days, it feels like. So love you all, hope you're well, and happy knitting. Take care. Till next time.